Brothers and sisters, today here on Euphoria Radio, I would love to talk to you about ego. And I want to talk about ego, and why this is being brought up is that I am just seeing ego hurting so many people, bringing down huge people in the world, bringing down our government, bringing down our top healers and our top inspirational people, coaches, you're just psychics, just people in general, our business owners. We all start things thinking that we're doing it for the best, the best of our family, doing it for the best of our friends, the best of society. Whenever you go open up a business, you think, well, this is what the people need, and so you're doing it with a passion, you're doing it with a love in your heart and trying to better the world. When people are building churches, they're trying to better the world. When people are building the government, they're trying to better the world. They are really genuinely starting out wanting to do what's best for people. But here's what I've been seeing is that as people are growing, as their businesses are growing, as their organizations or the gatherings are growing, as their people, their followers are growing, so is their ego. And now this is something that has just, it's been a battle for me. I'm going to admit it, that I myself, I've had my own battle with my ego. I know when I had started Reiki and started healing and I started on my spiritual journey, I had this huge ego. I know what to do. I know better than other people, and listen to me. I know how to heal. I know how to say what needs to be said in any specific moment of time. I was big headed, I really felt like I knew it all. I've been to the collective consciousness. I knew everything. I know what makes people happy. I know what makes people sad. I know what's the best for everyone, even if people didn't know it was better for themselves. And let me tell you, that ego took me down. That ego took me away from some of my friends, some of my family members. It took me to a place where and nobody was with me anymore. Even my husband, he would say, gosh, you just know it all. Why should I even talk to you anymore? And at that time, I realized that I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one with the answers that I had. I wasn't the only one with the feelings that I had. I wasn't the only one with the thoughts that I had. I started finding other people who were like-minded people and thought the exact same thoughts and had come to their thoughts on the same level that I had, and in the same way, through meditation and through the angels, through healing. And so I soon realized that I was absolutely no better than any one person, and that no one person in this world is any better than any other person, and that it was just my ego. It was just how I was talking myself up. It was what I utilized to make myself feel like I was bigger and better than the rest. It was what I used. My ego is what I used to talk myself up so that I didn't have to feel down anymore. I used my ego to build the new me. And it was great while I was building. It was a great way for me to gain confidence. It was a great way for me to start making connections, and it helped me realize who I was. But when I realized who I was, then my ego became too big, and I realized very, very quickly that if I really wanted to succeed with what I wanted to do in the world, which was help unite people and spread love and spread light, that I could never go to somebody saying, I'm better than you, I'm bigger than you, I know more than you, I know how you should live your life. That wasn't right for me to do. Because how would I know as a person what is better for anybody else? How would I know that taking that job is better for that person? Because my experiences are different than what their experiences are. And another thing that I learned, well, I was introduced to my ego and going over what an ego really was and how people are coming to this egotistical thinking, is people gain their egos from learning the truth, from knowing the truth, from going into this collective consciousness and coming out suddenly knowing everything. And when you think you know everything, you feel like you're above everyone, right? Because I got all the answers. They should all come to me. They should all ask me because I know everything, right? But the truth is that the reason that I know everything is because people as a collective whole do know everything. And what that means is that anything that I will ever have, anything I will ever know, anything I will ever be is something that somebody else already knows, already is, and already was. There is not a single thought that I will ever have, me, Melissa. I will never have a thought that somebody else has not already had. Now, this is why when you have an idea for something, you're thinking, that would be a great idea. You know, a month down the road, suddenly you're seeing it on TV and you're thinking, that was my idea. This is why you're seeing all of these people, people can... Nikola Tesla, who thought about the pyramids and thought about the exact structures and the way that they did it, although he didn't know about the pyramids at that time. How other people are finding out about energy and how everything works and who we truly are and the God source and the Mother Nature. They're coming to all of these answers because as a collective whole, we have specific information that is always held within the collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness is for anybody to gather at any given time. So depending on what you want to learn, we take different avenues. So not one single person will ever think outside of that collective consciousness. Let me repeat that. Not one single person will think outside of that collective consciousness. Well, we are stuck in our human bodies, in our brains. We are coded. And in order for us to reach our evolution in people, in order for us to get to new abilities, new heights, we have to do it as a whole. And so what we should be doing is not taking our ego and saying, I am better, I thought of that, I should get the credit, we should say, let's work together. Let's work together as a whole. Let's do what is the best for the people. Because people, that is where we're going to see the real healing. That's where we're going to see the real unity. I have seen lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes over. I've seen our world killed out 7 times through my spirit. And let me tell you, every single time, the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, we're looking at these forms that had these great gods that everyone knows about, these great places, India, everywhere, even, everywhere where we see these great gods and these great civilizations that seemed as though they were very tuned into the universe. What brought every single one of them down was ego. What brought down Babylon was ego. It was the people thinking we're better, we're stronger, we can do more than God, we can do more than other people. And what that did was that brought on darkness. It brought darkness. It brought an imbalance to our world. It went from being a place of light that was good and that had all the power to being in a place of bad power, or being in place of power, but now the power that was being utilized is for the good. We can go to churches and we can look at the churches and we can see the places when they have gone in to do something loving. They go in thinking, I'm going to bring people to God, I'm going to bring people to Lord, and suddenly they're getting in all of this money, and next thing you know, the priests are getting these awesome new cars and awesome new houses, and there's not much being done with the church. We have bad floors, we have bad walls. Ego stepped in and took place of the Lord. Ego stepped in and took place of God. And anytime that you have ego stepping in and of the place of God, you're going to see a failure in either that person or the business or the church or the government or whatever that one specific energy has. You're going to see a fall in it. You're going to see a fail because ego never wins. Ego never wins. Ego always goes for temptation. Ego always goes for being bigger, for being better, for being something that feels that it has power, being something that feels like it should be over other people. It should be over other living things. Our ego takes over a lot of hunters. They don't do it for the meat. They don't do it because they're hungry. They do it for the power. They do it for the fact that they feel that they have the right to take over that animal and that they have more of a right than that animal does, and that's ego. God says, do what you want to do. God says, go ahead and do whatever. You have free will. Pick good, pick bad. Because God doesn't have an ego. God's not saying, well, I shouldn't say that. God does say, angels are popping up and say, no, God says that you better look to God. But God also says, I'll give you whatever I have. I'll give you all the love. I'll give you all of the powers. I'll give you all of the abilities, all the healing, anything that you need, I'll give to you, because that is what happens when you don't have the ego, is you're giving, you're helping, you're assisting, you're supporting. When you can put that ego aside, a pure energy, a pure vibration comes. And that pure vibration, that pure energy is God's, is the divine, is the universal energy that we are tapped into. And when we're tapped into that energy, when we're tapped into the energy of all, and we are doing what is the best for all, and we are doing what is the greater good for all things living, all things with energy, all things in other realms. When we're giving for the greater of good, we're no longer standing at a place of ego. We're now standing with collective consciousness. We're now standing with enlightenment. We're now standing with the side of the light, and we're in flow with the universe, in a place where everything works out for us. Everything makes sense to us. Everything works for us, and the information that we are seeking is put right in front of our face. Because when we're not focused on how we can be the best, and we instead focus on how to just be, that's where all the answers are. The answers aren't in trying to get ahead. The answers are in just being, and we all have that ability. We're speaking about the ego. We're speaking about something that we identify ourselves with. So this is what we believe, or who we believe we are, between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And in this reality, in the human reality, at times we are needing to use survival tools. We are needing to know how to survive different situations. All of us have our own different experiences where we have had to survive in specific situations. And so what the ego is the ego is kind of a protector for us. It's the thing that makes us say, yeah, we can stand outside and think outside the box. We can survive. We are going to make it through. We're going to do this because we are better. And that's good. Ego is great. Sometimes it brings us out of the tough situations. But however, when we utilize too much power, we put too much emphasis on ego, we start to segregate ourselves from each other. We start to segregate friends, families, energies from us, and we tend to look inward. We tend to look at ourselves as the new holy thing. We heard that song about ego, and he says, I talked to God, and God said he's all right. Pray to Thomas. And wow, what a big statement, because that's what ego reading people say is, I'm better than God. I don't need a Jesus. I don't need a God. I am the source. I have a student that I've been working with right now that is he calls me up and says, I am the source. I'm the only one in this world that can do this. I am the only one that can do this energy right now, and no one else can. And, I keep trying to tell him that there are other people that can do it, because anything that any one person can think of, another person can also think of that other thing, because once again, we're going back to the collective consciousness, and where every one person's thoughts are, everybody else's thoughts are there too. So any thought that any one human would have, we gain that from the collective consciousness. It's a constant stream of energy that's coming in through us. And going back to Alan Watson, he was talking about how ego is just an illusion. And he says, it's just you're watching TV and you see a light spectrum. And that is what you see on TV, where somebody else might see something completely different. Now, in looking in the ego and looking at reflections, we all know that we stand in different places of energy. We all stand in different places of the sun, of light reflection, of vibrational. And in saying that, two people can be in the same room, and depending on where they are in the room, where that energy is, what light spectrums they're being hit by, what vibrations they're being hit on, they are going to feel different things than the other person. They're going to feel something completely different. And so to them, their experience is theirs, and that other person isn't having that same experience. And that is true, because you're hitting on different vibrations, you're hitting on different reflections. But that's not to say that if you switch the exact, the two people around and put them in the exact footsteps that they were of the other person, that suddenly they would understand and they would feel the same energy and they would get it. And that's just what the collective consciousness is just being able to step into a different light spectrum, step into a different vibrational field, step into a different energy, and therefore then we can become something else, and we're all knowing of that information that person or that energy had received before. The information flowing, because what you are learning here on Euphoria Radio is important things, and it will advance you to your future. It will advance you to your spirits. Brothers and sisters, peace out. Melissa, giving you much love. Namaste. Have a great one.